Hey guys, welcome to Peripheral Vision, and today we're taking a look at the Sega Dreamcast controller for the Sega Dreamcast. Duh. But, like all Sega controllers, the Dreamcast controller is well built, but very big. In fact, it takes a lot of inspiration from its predecessor, the 3D control pad on the Sega Saturn. See the family resemblance? Sega really was into circles, I guess. But, it's a pretty good controller. It's a little bit less awkward than the 3D control pad. The back here gives you a lot of nice grooves to fit your hands into, so it does feel pretty natural here. Looking at the joystick, we've got these little dots here that are supposed to help get a grip with your thumb, but it's not quite as effective as I'd like it to be. I understand what it's going for, but it doesn't do it as well as I would have hoped. It's not awful, but it's not as effective as certain other joypads that I've played with. That sounds... Let's move on. The D-pad is actually kind of interesting to me because it's a regular standard old D-pad. It's just a cross standard D-pad. No weird fancy stuff. Usually the Sega has a funny shaped D-pad or something. Then we've got a triangular start button in the center and A, B, X, Y. And that sounds familiar. Sounds very familiar to me. Then on the back again, we have two analog shoulder buttons, and for those that don't know, analog buttons are, well, analog triggers rather, are triggers that are pressure sensitive. And then we've got the big gaping hole in the room, which is the big gaping hole in the controller. It's actually two ports. The front port here is for the VMU, or Video Memory Unit. I hope I did not mess up that acronym. And that is functionally the memory card for the Sega Dreamcast. And it's kind of cool because you plug it in there, and there's a little screen that shows up here. And while you're playing certain games, digitized images of like the characters and stuff will pop up. So I always thought that was a nice little touch. And then on the next port, this is actually for things like the trimmer pack, or which is a rumble pack for the Sega Dreamcast controller, and other various peripherals can plug into the back here, but it's honestly fairly underutilized. And you might notice there's also a little crevasse here. You'll also notice, you're noticing a lot of things about this controller, but you'll notice that the wire goes out from the bottom, which that's weird. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But I think they knew that people wouldn't like that, so they put this little crevasse here. And the purpose is you can actually plut, it's sort of like put and pluck your wire into here. This is wound up, but if it was extended, it would basically make the wire go up and out instead of down and out. So it's good that they thought of it. It's good that they realized that that could have been a potential issue, because obviously they put the wire out from the bottom because of the insides of the controller for some reason, but it's kind of inconvenient. And that's it. It's a very functional little controller. Like I said, a lot of Sega controllers are big, but they're usually not as awkward as you would expect them to be, and this one is another example of that. It's pretty fun. Even using the D-pad, which usually with controllers that have an analog stick and a D-pad, the one or the other is awkward because the distance is strange, but both of these are actually pretty comfortable to do. They did cut two of the buttons from older Genesis and Saturn and etc. designs, but 4 buttons does the job for most games anyway, so pretty effective, nice little controller. And fun fact, this controller gave a lot of inspiration to Microsoft. You'll notice that there's a lot of similar aspects from this controller in the original Xbox controller, which eventually evolved into like what we have now, the Xbox One controller. So we have the Dreamcast to thank for Microsoft's weird controllers. They took a lot of inspiration from this guy, so fun. And as always, later days.